Okay, so you found a home in your desired area and it's just under market value, but it has tenants in it. All right, there is a risk to this. I'm Meegan Dennie, a real estate agent in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and I am going to go through 5 must-knows and must-dos to help you minimize your risk level when buying a property that's tenanted. All right, so we're gonna have to tackle 2 separate subjects in the video. 1, if you're purchasing the property to move into, and 2, if you're purchasing an investment property. So typically these properties are priced just below market value. And the reason for this is because, well, a house just shows differently when there's a tenant living in the home. Some show better than others. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, so if you're purchasing the property with the intent of moving into it on closing date, then you need a few clauses in your offer and agreement to protect yourself. So number 1, you're gonna need to make sure the tenant is on a month-to-month lease. If they are currently still in their first year lease agreement and that agreement doesn't end for another 5 months, then that agreement needs to be honored and you're not closing until month 5. If they're on a month-to-month, however, and you're gonna ask the seller then to please provide a minimum of 60 days notice to the tenant on the first day of the following month, which means your closing date or move-in date is definitely gonna be past 60 days. Number 2, your clause should request that the seller have the tenant sign an N11 form. This form is found on the Landlord and Tenant Board website. The form is called Agreement to End Tenancy. This has the tenant basically officially signing off on the specified move-out date and the formal acknowledgement, and it's just saying that they're aware and agreeing to leaving the property on this date. It's signed and the signature is dated as well. So it just kind of shows further proof that the appropriate notice was given, that everyone's in agreement. In Ontario, it can be extremely time-consuming and costly to have a tenant evicted from a property, even though you've given appropriate notice. So you want to make sure you have your ducks in a row and that the tenant is in full cooperation and understanding to vacate the premise, and give them enough time to find something else. Number 3, it's always sort of good to find out the details about the person living there. So for example, how long have they been living there? How much rent are they paying? What is the current market like? Are they gonna have a hard time finding something? That's all things that you're gonna wanna consider. Number 4, purchasing an investment property that is currently tenanted. So this is you not wanting to move in. You want to see the lease agreement if they're still under a lease agreement contract, which is typically for 1 year. I would also ask for all the documentation that the tenant provided to secure the lease in the first place. Examples of documentation would be employment letters, credit reports, pay stubs, stuff like that. Number 5, if they are on a month-to-month and they've been there for over a year, then you want to ask the seller for documentation that can prove that the tenant is paying the rent regularly. Bank deposits would be nice, just anything showing that they are getting this payment. Again, you want to know who's occupying the property. How long have they been there? How much rent are they paying? Is it standard market rent or not? All of this needs to make sense for your financials. Now that you know the risks of purchasing with a tenant occupying the home, my next video actually talks about what do you do if you inherit a home and you need to sell it. That can get a little complicated. So I've been through it before. I'm going to walk you through it. I'm Meegan Dennie, a real estate agent in Toronto and the GTA. Please do not hesitate to call me for all of your real estate needs. Thanks.